Hello there. My name is Alex and I'm a DCI vet. This is a small compilation of videos detailing the Drumcorps of Alabama. If you have anecdotes, pictures, or personal experiences with any of these corps, please share in the comments. Hello there. My name is Alex and I'm a DCI vet, and welcome to my series in which I document and report on every drum corps with enough knowledge to document on in alphabetical order. This first video takes us to the US, and more specifically, Alabama. Our subject today is the Charioteers. The Charioteers Drum and Bugle Corps was originally formed as the Alabama Charioteers from Troy, under the leadership of Ralph Beasley, former director of bands at the Charles Henderson High School. They were a self-supported organization. The Charioteers got off to an unusual start on the national scene. They were good enough at the 1971 American Legion prelims that they made the finals cut. The only problem was that the brand new corps didn't learn a full show that year, and were consequently pulled out of finals. They placed 8th at prelims. The following season saw the corps travel in its first tour, where they managed to finish 7th at the 1972 US Open Class A Finals, and 19th in the AL Nationals prelims. They also competed at the very first DCI Championships, placing 22nd, which ranked them among the top 25, becoming a DCI member. In 1973, the corps participated at several regional contests, including the American International Open, placing 3rd in the Class A Finals, a 15th place finish at the preliminaries of the Bluegrass Nationals, and placed 4th in the US Open Class A Finals, where of the 85 corps that competed, they placed 1st in visual, only to place 50th in visual GE. They moved to Birmingham in 1974 and were renamed the Charioteers as they continued to travel extensively over the last 3 seasons. In 1974, their touring led to a 36th place finish in the DCI Championship prelims, along with stops in the North Towanda Open Class NTO Finals, placing 8th, the Key to C Open Class 24th, and 3 Class A finalist appearances at the AIO, the US Open, and the Key to the Sea. The next year, the Birmingham unit successfully made the finals at 1975 NTO, where they got 7th place in the Open Class, the US Open in 4th place, and a 10th place finish in the AIO prelims before competing their highest achievement ever, placing 2nd at the DCI Class A Championships. In their final season of existence, the Charioteers with a famous Robert W. Smith march placed 19th at the AIO Open Class Preliminaries, and were once again a finalist in the Class A division at the US Open, where they ranked 3rd, and the DCI Championships, where they ranked 5th. In a contribution from a member named Michael Terry, he stated, "I first became involved in drum corps in 1971 at the age of 16, when 2 high school friends talked me into accompanying them to a rehearsal of the Alabama Charioteers in Troy. I was fascinated with the precision and complexity displayed by the drumline, and the sheer power of the horns. Needless to say, I was hooked on the spot, enjoying earning a double tenor spot." The 1971 version of the Charioteers was unique, in that it was a startup, first-year corps entirely comprised of members who had absolutely no competitive experience. Not a single member had ever marched in a drum corps before. The season for the Charioteers have consisted of just one competition, the ALN Championship prelims in Houston, Texas, the Astrodome. The staff didn't even consider that we could make finals in the only context that we would compete in that year, let alone a national championship final, so all the effort was poured into simply making the best first-year showing possible, with the 5.5-minute prelim show. Hello there, my name is Alex and I'm a DCI vet, and welcome to my series in which I document and report on every drum corps with enough knowledge to document on in alphabetical order. The second video takes us to the USA, and more specifically, Alabama. Our subject today is Southwind. The year was 1980. In Montgomery, Alabama, half a dozen high school students wanted to be in a local drum corps. Since none existed, they recruited their band director, Michael D. Terry. Under his leadership, they founded Southwind after setting up a nonprofit organization and getting a charter as Explorer Post 2009 from the local Boy Scout Council. The Chicago to Miami passenger train, known as the Southwind, passed through Montgomery right beside the corps' practice field, so they adopted the name for their corps. From their Montgomery base, Southwind took part in DCI competition in 1981 and 1982, before going inactive for 6 years to cover the debt acquired. In 1989, with newly organized backing, the corps returned to competition in Class A60 for 2 seasons. They moved up to Class A, and Southwind took the DCI Class A World Championship in 1991 and 1992. The corps defended its title by winning the renamed DCI Division II World Championship. By 1997, though financially secure and still attracting a sizable membership, it was becoming difficult for the small nucleus of boosters and management to keep the corps operating effectively. That same year, several members of the Madison Scouts design team wrote for and advised Southwind, thus starting an important relationship between the Corps. In the fall of 1997, Southwind director Dave Bryan, who had been part of the Southwind from the beginning, approached Madison Scout Scott Stewart about taking over management and direction of the Corps. The newly formed liaison made Southwind a part of the Madison Scouts Drum and Bugle Corps Association. Southwind sat out the 1998 season and moved their base of operations to Lexington, Kentucky. The move north allowed Southwind to participate in DCI Midwest, to be closer to their parent organization in Wisconsin, and to draw on strong music programs in the surrounding states. As one of these three corps within the Madison organization, Southwind placed 15th, 13th, 15th, and subsequently 18th at DCI. In 2002, the Madison Scouts dropped to 14th place, the first time the Corps had missed DCI finals since also placing 14th at the inaugural championships in 1972. Reorganizing after the season, the Madison Drum and Bugle Corps Association separated itself from both Southwind and Capital Sound Drum and Bugle Corps of Madison. After having moved away from its financial base in Montgomery, Southwind now found itself also without the additional personnel base the short-lived merger had provided. Once more independent, Southwind formed the Bluegrass Youth Performance Corporation as a sponsoring organization. Southwind received a stern lesson in the financial realities of Drumcorps in July of 2004 when a bus, essential to keeping the Corps on the road, blew an engine. The $15,000 replacement cost could have been enough to bankrupt the Corps and end its life. That was but one of the financial realities faced as the Corps continued as a large, well-respected, but second-tier Division I Corps. However, as the Great Recession got underway in 2007, the economic conditions led the Corps to another period of inactivity. In 2011, control of the Southwind Drum and Bugle Corps was taken over by the Southwind Alumni Association Incorporated. The group spent 2011 to 2013 in rebuilding the organization, raising funds, and searching for sponsors to help return the Corps to the competition field. Along with everything else, they also returned the Corps to Alabama, relocating it to the Mobile area. In November and December 2013, Southwind held its first recruitment and audition camps since leaving the field in 2007. In 2014, the organization fielded a 50-member sound sport team, competing against other sound sport teams and performing an exhibition at some DCI shows as a route to re-entering DCI competition in 2015. In early May 2015, DCI approved Southwind's return as an active open-class drum corps. That year, the Corps appeared in 5 shows in Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi, and followed up with 6 contests in 2016. In 2017, Southwind competed in a dozen contests in 8 states, and the Corps returned to the DCI Open Class Championships and DCI World Championships for the first time since 2007, placing 9th in Open Class semifinals and 31st in World Class prelims. In 2017, Southwind competed in a dozen contests in 8 states, and the Corps returned to the DCI Open Class Championship and DCI World Championships for the first time since 2007, placing 9th in Open Class semifinals and 31st in World Class prelims. In 2019, after advancing its placement at the DCI Open Class Championship from 5th to 10th, in 2018, Southwind was named DCI's Most Improved Corps. The 2020 season was canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemics. The Corps was also inactive for the non-competitive 2021 season, but returned to the field in 2022, placing 6th in Open Class in 22 and 3rd in 23. On October 11, 2023, Empowering Youth and Performing Arts announced that the continued rising costs of touring and housing with the current tour model made it impossible for the organization to continue, and Southwind Drum and Bugle Corps is shutting down all operations. Today, the Southwind Legacy Project has taken on the task of telling their story and keeping their memory a part of the future. Southwind's highest score was 92.9. Thank you for watching.